Part 1. The Scar That Never Healed. This is a story that still weighs on me every single day. It is a story about boundaries, deeply rooted trauma, and a single frozen moment at an airport terminal that changed my life forever. To understand why I did what I did, and why I feel no regret, we have to go back to where it all began. 28 years ago. Growing up, my mother was not a protector. She was not the person I could turn to for comfort. She was an abuser. The environment in our home was so toxic, so broken, that at the age of 12 years old, the legal system had to intervene. I officially left her home through the courts and moved in with my father. That decision did not just split a household. It shattered the very foundation of what a family is supposed to be. I will never forget the day the court paperwork was finalized. I looked down at the documents, and under the line that asked for the name of child, my own mother had refused to write my name. Instead, she wrote 4 cold, sharp words that would haunt my dreams for the next 30 years. She wrote, "I have no son." Imagine being a 12-year-old boy, standing in a cold hallway, and realizing your own mother has effectively erased your existence on a legal document. I carried that rejection like a lead weight through every single stage of my life. Part 2. The Shadow of Addiction. For the next 20 years, I spiraled. I struggled with heavy drinking, trying to drown out the echoes of her voice and the memory of those words. My life was a blur of regret and self-destruction. But in 2018, everything changed. I finally found sobriety. I decided that if I was going to live a clean life, I had to try and make peace with my past. I reached out to her. She is now approaching 70 years old, and she is almost entirely alone. She has 0 contact with 2 out of her 3 children. I thought maybe the decades had softened her. I thought maybe she had reflected on what she did to us. I was wrong. Reconnecting was like walking through a minefield. When I finally gathered the courage to ask her if she ever thought about the abuse, her response was like ice. She looked at me without a hint of remorse and said, "You are an adult now. You need to let it go already." No apology, no accountability. Just a demand for me to forget the trauma that had defined my entire life. That was the moment I realized any forgiveness would have to be one-sided. If I wanted peace, it was entirely on me. Part 3. The Trap is Set. Despite the tension, we stayed in contact. Last summer, I decided to do something kind. I invited her to my city to see a band she had loved since I was a child. I planned every single detail. She would arrive on Wednesday, we would attend the concert on Thursday, and she would fly out to visit my sisters on Friday afternoon. I was scheduled to leave for my own vacation early Saturday morning. The plan was simple. She agreed to it. But the moment she stepped off the plane, the red flags started waving. She casually mentioned that she had only purchased a one-way ticket. She claimed she would book the Friday flight later once she saw the prices. This made me incredibly uneasy. I reminded her, not once, not twice, but several times, that I was leaving at 5 a.m. on Saturday morning, and that I did not want anyone staying in my house while I was away. I was firm. I was crystal clear. Part 4. The Ultimatum. Friday came. The concert was actually fine, but the tension underneath was boiling. When we got home, I asked her if she had booked her flight. She looked at me and dropped the bomb. She had not bought a ticket. And now she claimed the prices had gone up too much. Her new plan? She was simply going to stay at my house for a few extra days while I was hundreds of miles away on my trip. I felt the old familiar feeling of being manipulated. I looked her in the eyes and said, "I am leaving at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. You need to get on a plane." I even offered to cover the extra cost of the ticket myself. I offered her a hotel. I gave her every possible exit. She refused. She accused me of not trusting her. She shouted, "I am your mother!" I told her it was not about trust. It was about my boundaries and my home. The argument escalated into a screaming match until she finally snapped and said, "Fine. If you want me gone so bad, take me to the airport right now." Part 5. The curb at the airport. I think she expected me to cave. She thought I was still that 12-year-old boy who would do anything for her approval. But that boy died a long time ago. I packed the car in total silence. I grabbed my daughter, and we drove her to the airport in the dead of night. When we pulled up to the departures terminal, the air in the car was thick with static. It was a standoff. She sat there, staring straight ahead, waiting for me to say, "Never mind, Mom, come back home." I did not say it. I got out of the car, walked to the trunk, and pulled her suitcase out. I set it down on the cold concrete of the curb. I looked at her one last time and said, "If you cannot find a ticket, call me. I will pay for a hotel, but you are not staying in my house." And then I got back in the car. I put it in drive, and I left. In my rearview mirror, I saw a 70-year-old woman standing next to a suitcase, with no plan and no ticket. I did exactly what she told me to do decades ago. I let it go. I let her go. Months later, the guilt still flickers in my mind. But then I remember the court documents. I remember the 20 years of drinking. And I realize I did not strand my mother. I finally protected the child she refused to love. Am I the a-hole